long before the first laptop opened in Ajegunle, long before anyone ever whispered, "Client don't pay," long before the words crypto, Ponzi, or format ever entered any mouth. There was one master scammer whose greed drew the original blueprint that every hustler in Nigeria still traces today. His name was Tortoise. Slow legs, sharp eyes, sharper tongue. People trusted him because he carried himself like someone who had nothing to hide. That was always the first mistake. In the old villages, when the moon was fat and the palm wine flowed, elders sat children down beneath the Iroko tree and told the story as a warning. Tonight, I am dragging that same story from Moonlight into microphone because the spirit that lived inside Tortoise never died. It simply changed clothes. It moved from the forest to Lagos Island, from village paths to Lekki Toll Gate, from hunger for yam to hunger for millions. This is not just a folktale, it is a prophecy dressed in animal skin. Look closely and you will see your cousin who swears just one more format, your ex who vanished with the savings, that boy posting designer bags while his mother sells pepper in the market. By the end of this tale, you will know exactly why Tortoise still carries a cracked shell in 2025, why some accounts freeze the week they blow, and why the ancestors keep repeating one line. The hand that grabs everything ends up holding nothing but pain. Stay close. The moonlight is bright, the mic is hot, and the story begins now. The land forgot how to smile. Rain stopped falling the year the elder said it would never stop. First the streams dried, then the wells, then the rivers turned their backs and walked away. Yam mounds cracked open like broken promises. Cassava leaves curled brown and fell before anyone could harvest. Goats grew thin, children grew quiet, even the crickets stopped singing at night. In the cities, it was the same story wearing different clothes. Prices climbed higher than the tallest okra stem. A bag of rice that fed a family for a month now lasted only days. Fuel queues stretched longer than Harmattan dust. Generators fell silent one by one. Lights went out. Hopes went out. Lion, who once walked Lagos Island like he owned every street, now queued for hours just to buy Gary. Elephant, strong enough to carry a market load on his head, stood helpless as his children cried from hunger. Leopard, sharp and quick, lost the shine in his coat and the fire in his eyes. Antelope could no longer outrun the emptiness in her stomach. Rabbit's children stopped playing. They only slept. Mothers sang softer lullabies so the neighbors would not hear the hunger in their voices. Fathers sold phones, wrappers, even wedding rings to buy one more meal. Old men sat under mango trees and spoke of better years that now felt like dreams. Across villages and cities, from Kano to Calabar, from Sokoto to Enugu, the same heavy silence settled. No one laughed too loud anymore. No one wasted a single grain. Everyone carried the same question behind their eyes. How do we survive tomorrow when today has already taken everything? This was the Nigeria the animals knew. This was the famine that walked on two legs and four, that spoke every language and spared no one. And it was into this broken land that an old story, older than the drought itself, began to wake up again. The famine grew worse with every passing day. The sun beat down without mercy. The earth cracked open like dry lips begging for water. Crops that once stood tall and proud turned brown and crumbled at the touch. Rivers shrank to thin silver threads. Markets that used to burst with color now looked like ghost towns. Prices climbed higher than the tallest palm tree. No one could reach them. Lion, the mighty king, walked with his head hanging low. His golden mane looked dull. His roar had become a whisper. Elephant searched for hours and found only dust. Leopard's sleek body now showed every rib. Monkey sat still on the branch, too weak to play. Mothers rocked hungry children to sleep with empty promises. Fathers stared at cold cooking pots and felt shame heavy in their hearts. Then came the evening everything changed. They gathered beneath the great Iroko tree, the one that had watched generations come and go. Its wide branches spread like the arms of an elder, ready to embrace the broken. Lion stepped into the center. His voice was weak, but his words carried strength. "We cannot make out alone," he said. "If we hide what little we have, we will all die one by one. But if every one of us brings whatever remains, one yam, one handful of beans, one egg, a few coins, anything, we can make one big pot, one pot for all of us. We eat together. We stay alive together. We wait for the rain together." Silence fell. Then hope rose. Elephant came forward and placed 3 precious yams on the ground. Antelope brought a full sack of dried beans. Parrot flew in with a small gourd of red palm oil tied around his neck. Hyena, who never shared, dropped a bundle of smoked fish. Rabbit, tiny and trembling, added a handful of green leaves she had hidden for her babies. One by one they came. Goat, bird, bush baby. Even the smallest creatures gave what they could. They looked at the growing pile and felt something stronger than hunger. They felt family. Under the watchful eye of the moon, beneath the ancient Iroko, the animal kingdom remembered who they truly were. United, unbreakable, Nigerian. Far from the circle of light and hope, Tortoise sat alone on a fallen log at the edge of the clearing. His small eyes glinted in the darkness. He had watched everything. He had seen Elephant lay down his last yams. He had seen Rabbit give away the leaves she needed for her children. He had heard Lion speak of one big pot for all, and something inside him stirred, not hunger for food, but hunger for more. Tortoise was never the strongest, never the fastest, never the biggest, but he was clever. He had always known how to turn nothing into something, how to make people believe what he wanted them to believe. While others suffered openly, Tortoise had hidden a small private store of food beneath his shell, just enough to keep his mind sharp while others grew weak. Now, as the animals sang soft songs of unity and went home dreaming of tomorrow's shared meal, Tortoise stayed behind. He rubbed his chin slowly. He smiled a slow, private smile. "One pot for all," he repeated under his breath. "That means everything they bring will be in one place. Everything." His mind began to race. If all the food was gathered together, then whoever controlled the gathering controlled everything. If he could make them give their food to him first, for safekeeping, to count properly, to protect from thieves, then the pot would never even need to be cooked. He would have it all the yams, all the oil, all the coins, all of it. He pictured himself sitting on a mountain of wealth while the others waited for a feast that would never come. He imagined their faces when they realized they had nothing left. The thought made him chuckle, low and dry. By the time the moon had climbed higher, Tortoise had a perfect plan. He would speak sweetly. He would speak of safety and fairness. He would make them believe he was the most trustworthy of all. And when they handed everything over, he would simply walk away with it. Greed whispered in his ear like an old friend. And Tortoise listened. He always listened. The next morning, before the sun had fully risen, Tortoise was already moving through the village paths. He walked slowly, as always, but his voice was quick and smooth like fresh palm oil. He went first to Elephant. "Brother Elephant," he said, bowing low, "you are wise and strong. Everyone is bringing their food to the clearing tonight, but thieves are already watching. Hyena was seen near the Iroko last night. If we leave everything in the open, it will vanish before we cook. Let me keep your yams safe under my shell until the pot is ready. No one would dare challenge Tortoise. Elephant thought for a moment, then nodded. He handed over the 3 heavy yams. Next, Tortoise visited Antelope. Sister, your beans are precious. The ground is hot. Ants will find them before evening. Trust me to guard them. I am small, but my shell is harder than rock. Antelope agreed. The sack of beans went to Tortoise. One by one, he went to every animal. To Parrot, your palm oil will spill if carried openly. I have a safe corner. To Hyena, people still fear you. They may refuse to add their share if they see you near the pot. Give everything to me, I will speak for you. To Rabbit, little sister, someone might step on your leaves by mistake. Let Tortoise protect them. He spoke softly. He spoke reasonably. He reminded each animal how dangerous the times were, how easily things disappear, how only he, Tortoise, small and harmless, could be trusted by everyone. By late afternoon, his shell was heavy, heavier than it had ever been. Yams, beans, oil, fish, groundnuts, coins, every single contribution now rested with him. The animals went home relieved, believing their food was in the safest possible hands. Tortoise dragged himself to a quiet spot behind a baobab tree. He looked at the mountain of wealth he now possessed. He laughed, a low, satisfied sound that only the wind heard. Fools, he whispered. They gave everything to me. Tonight, they will wait for a feast that will never come. The sun began to set. The clearing stood empty. The big pot remained cold and untouched. And Tortoise sat alone with all the food in the world, planning his escape before anyone realized the truth. Just as Tortoise finished hiding the last sack behind the baobab tree, a loud cry cut through the evening air. Parrots, bright feathers flashing against the orange sky, flew from treetop to treetop, shouting the news everyone had been waiting for. The sky people have heard our suffering, he called. They are holding a great feast tomorrow, high above the clouds. Mountains of food, rivers of palm wine, music that never stops. They said every animal is invited. Come tomorrow at dawn, and hunger will be forgotten forever. The village exploded with joy. Lion roared for the first time in weeks. Elephant trumpeted so loudly the ground shook. Children danced, mothers sang. Even the weakest animals found new strength at the thought of endless plenty. Word spread faster than bushfire. By nightfall, every animal knew. The feast was real, the invitation was open, and all they had to do was reach the sky. But there was one problem. Only birds could fly. Lion could not fly. Elephant could not fly. Antelope, hyena, rabbit. No one except the birds had wings. The animals gathered again beneath the iroko tree, happier than they had been in months, yet worried. How will we get there? They asked. We have no wings. The sky is too high. Parrot and the other birds listened carefully. Then Eagle, the strongest flyer, stepped forward. We will help, he said. Each of us will lend feathers to one land animal. We will tie them on with strong vine. Together we will all fly to the feast. No one will be left behind. Cheers rose into the night. Hope filled every heart. They pictured golden tables loaded with roasted yam, pepper soup thick with fish, jugs of fresh palm wine, bowls of pounded yam taller than elephants. They saw themselves eating until their bellies were full, laughing, dancing, free from hunger forever. They made plans for dawn. They sang songs of thanksgiving. They went to sleep dreaming of the sky feast, completely unaware that every single contribution they had given for their earthly pot was already gone, hidden away by the one animal who had not come to celebrate. Far away behind the baobab tree, Tortoise heard every word. His eyes grew wider. His smile grew bigger. A feast in the sky, bigger than anything on earth. And now everyone would be too busy preparing to fly to notice their food had disappeared. Tomorrow, he thought, would be the greatest day of his life. Dawn broke purple and gold across the sky. Every animal gathered at the foot of the tallest palm, wings of hope beating in their chests. The birds had worked all night. Eagle, vulture, hawk, weaver bird, even little sparrow, each plucked the strongest feathers from their wings and tails. They tied them carefully with thick vine to the backs and sides of lion, elephant, antelope, hyena, rabbit, and every creature that could not fly on its own. When the sun touched the horizon, the land animals rose slowly into the air, clumsy at first, then steady, laughing and shouting as the ground fell away beneath them. Tortoise arrived last, dragging his heavy shell, wearing the saddest face in the kingdom. "My brothers and sisters," he called, voice trembling, "you are leaving me behind. I am too slow. I am too heavy. I gave everything I had to keep your food safe, and now I will starve alone while you feast in the sky." The animals looked down from midair. Guilt twisted their hearts. Eagle circled back. "Do not cry, Tortoise. We still remember how you carried our trust. We will not leave you." One by one, the birds flew close. They plucked their finest, longest feathers, the ones they needed most, and tied them all over Tortoise's shell, front, back, sides, even under his belly. They used the strongest vine, double knotted it, triple checked it. When they finished, Tortoise looked like a feathered ball with a head and 4 short legs. He flapped once. He rose an inch. He flapped harder. He rose higher than the tallest palm. A great cheer went up. Tortoise smiled the widest smile anyone had ever seen on him. Higher and higher he climbed, faster than anyone expected, leading the entire flock toward the glowing clouds where tables of plenty waited. From below, the earth looked small and brown and hungry. From above, the sky kingdom shone bright and golden and full of promise. None of them noticed that Tortoise's eyes were not looking at the feast ahead. They were glancing back, counting every feather, every knot, every second of flight he now controlled. The wind carried them all upward. The feast was close now, and Tortoise flew at the very front, feathers gleaming, heart racing, greed burning brighter than the morning sun. The sky opened like a golden gate. White clouds rolled back. Long tables stretched farther than any eye could see, covered in snowy cloths, piled high with roasted yams dripping palm oil, pepper soup steaming in golden bowls, mountains of jollof rice redder than sunset, fried plantain glistening, bowls of pounded yam taller than houses, fresh fish the size of canoes, palm wine flowing like rivers, fruits shining like jewels. The sky people, tall and shining, stood smiling at the entrance. "Welcome," they sang in voices like thunder wrapped in honey. "Who has come to feast with us today?" Every animal opened its mouth to answer, but Tortoise shot forward first, faster than anyone thought possible, feathers flashing, voice sharp and loud. "All this," he shouted, spreading his short arms wide, "is for me alone. My name is all of you. I am the one you invited. These others are only my servants. They carried me here. The feast belongs to all of you, and I am all of you." A stone silence fell. Lion's roar died in his throat. Elephant froze mid-step. Antelope's eyes filled with shock. Rabbit began to tremble. Even the sky people looked confused. Tortoise landed on the longest table, right in the center of everything. He grabbed a whole roasted yam and bit into it. He dipped his hand into the pepper soup and licked his fingers. He laughed, loud and greedy, mouth full, eyes wild. "Yes," he cried, "all of this is mine. I planned it. I suffered most. I deserve everything. The birds stared in horror. The land animals stared in betrayal. The sky people looked from one to another, unsure what to do with the guest who claimed the entire banquet for himself alone. Greed had carried Tortoise higher than wings ever could. Now it stood naked in front of everyone, ugly and loud and impossible to hide. The feast that was meant for all suddenly belonged to one, and that one was already eating as fast as he could, terrified someone would take it away before he finished. 3.1 seconds fast. The silence lasted only a heartbeat. Then eagle understood. Then vulture understood. Then every bird understood at once. A low, terrible hiss rose from 1,000 wings. Eagle spoke first, voice cold as high-altitude wind. You are not all of you. You are only Tortoise, and these feathers do not belong to you. Before Tortoise could swallow the pounded yam in his mouth, the birds attacked. They dived like arrows, beaks flashed, vines snapped, feathers ripped away in bright clouds. Tortoise flapped, panicked, trying to rise higher, but each lost feather dragged him lower. He screamed, he begged, he promised to share everything 10 times over. The birds did not listen. In seconds, nothing remained on his shell but broken vine and shame. Gravity remembered his name. He fell. The sky people watched without moving. The animals watched without blinking. Down he tumbled, past the golden tables, past the shocked faces, past the clouds that no longer welcomed him. Wind roared in his ears. The earth rushed up, brown and hard and unforgiving. He hit the ground beneath the same Iroko tree where the story began. Crack! The sound echoed across villages, across cities, across every place where greed has ever worn a smiling face. When the dust settled, Tortoise still breathed, but his beautiful shell, once smooth and perfect, now lay shattered into 1,000 jagged pieces that would never fit together again. He tried to stand. He fell. He tried to hide. There was no hiding. From that day forward, every step he took reminded him, and everyone who saw him, of the day greed carried him higher than he deserved, and pride threw him lower than he could survive. The feast in the sky went on without him. The animals ate and drank and danced until their bellies were full and their hearts were light. And Tortoise, slow, broken, and alone, learned the one lesson no amount of cleverness can outrun. What you steal from the community will one day fall back on you, and it always falls hardest. And that is how Tortoise learned, too late, that the sky does not reward thieves. It only gives them further to fall. Today, in 2022-25, the same spirit still walks among us. It wears new clothes, designer sneakers, crypto wallets, promises of quick millions. But the heart is the same old greed. It tells you just one more format, just one last deal. Nobody has to know. It whispers that you are smarter than everyone else, that the rules are for the weak. But every time an account gets frozen, the wiki blows. Every time a client wakes up and the money vanishes. Every time a brother disappears after collecting village contributions, the ancestors nod from above and say, Tortoise fell again. Greed will always give you wings made of borrowed feathers, and pride will always pluck them one by one. So the next time hunger knocks, remember the cracked shell. Share the little you have. Lift someone else up instead of climbing over them. Because the feast that is meant for all of you will never run dry. But the one you try to eat alone will choke you on the way down. This has been Moonlight to Folktales by NK. If this story touched you, made you think twice, or reminded you of someone you know, hit subscribe, turn on the bell, and share it with one person who needs to hear it tonight. Next week, another tale from firelight to neon. Until then, keep your heart soft your hands open, and your hustle honest. The moon is watching, the mic is still hot. See you in the next story.